Dr. Anupama, it is now 2:35.
Yes, sir.
I think the people will be joining a bit late. I don't know.
Would you like to start off, sir?
Shall we start, Dr. Anupama?
Yes, sir.
Or should we wait for some more time?
Um, we can just start off. I think another 1 or 2 minutes. I think because I'm just noticing few people are logging in and logging out. I don't know. Is it because of the weather or the network issue? 2 or 3 people have attempted to join and then they again have left the meeting.
Dr. Anupama, shall we start?
Right, sir. Over to you, sir. All right. Good afternoon. Welcome, Dean Research, sir, to the session. And over to you, sir.
Just a minute. There is some problem. I'm not able to hear myself. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Good afternoon, all the scholars and their supervisors. First of all, let me congratulate all the scholars who have completed the PhD.
I'm not able to hear anything.
Joining, process. It was, say, quite tough, as I understood from many. There was an entrance test followed by an interview. Entrance test in some disciplines were quite tough. That's what I was told. Uh, and then there was an interview that was, say, arranged for everybody, and we have selected 36, say, of probably more than 95 people who had applied. Total number was 100 plus, but some people did not come for the entrance test. I think 97 people wrote the test, and around 5 or 6 people were exempted because they had either the gate score or they have completed UGC/CSIR net. Okay, so joining ratio was much less, I should say. Uh, Congratulations again to the scholars, and welcome for the very first meeting that we are having. And we called it Orientation Program 1. Once I said Orientation Program 1, it's clear that we will have multiple such programs happening, and also you will have the sessions being arranged in the compulsory courses. We will let you know as to what are those compulsory courses soon. Okay. I have got a slide deck here, which has been shared with you all. Hope you are able to, view the slides.
Yes, sir. We can view the slides.
Okay. Here we have got a view of our new campus that is coming up in the Harohalli, just in front of Harohalli Industry Estate. And 3 towers are ready. And our medical college has been started there. And even a School of Engineering and many other schools will ship there in a phased manner. Anyway, that which are the schools we have, we will let you know. Now, quickly, we will go to the vision and mission and then value systems which have been adopted by the university. This is very important in that. In the vision, you will see. You can, of course, read through that. Should I, put in the slide mode? Yeah, that's better, I believe, so that you can have a better view. Vision, you please go through. I need not read. I think you can go through that. And research is coming very clearly. Research, training, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Okay, we have got complete ecosystem at DSU. You can do a research, come out with some innovative idea. Probably you feel that it can be converted into a business and a proposition, and you want to, have your own startup. We will provide you the facility to incubate your idea. We have got, say, Atal Incubation Center here that is supported by Niti Aayog. Okay, and we also have Derby in the campus. So your idea can be incubated. You can come up with your prototype or POC and then go to the market, having got your product or process or some service ready to be taken to the market. So we have got the complete ecosystem, and research is coming very clearly in the vision. So that should give an indication as to how much importance is given to research. Okay. Then come to the value system. Values, the pursuit of an excellence. Naturally, for you all, the research, fairness, whatever you do. Please go through that. I need not explain that. 1 minute. Cursor is, mouse is quite sensitive, so let me put this now. Yeah. Okay. Fairness, and then the leadership. Naturally, having done your research, you should be leaders in your own disciplines. That's very important. And then integrity and transparency. When you do your research, please maintain this. That's our request. Otherwise, you'll get into a lot of issues. So this particular value you should go by without any exception. And whatever material you prepare, whatever research paper you have, which you want to send to a journal or to a conference, please run it through one of the plagiarism check tools which you have got in our library, and see that there is nothing is copied or taken as it is from any other source. So the value system is very important. The fairness, integrity, and transparency, please go by that. Now, in brief about Dayanand Sagar group of institutions, and in brief, Dayanand Sagar schools and colleges of science, arts, and commerce were the pioneering institutions founded by late barrister Dayanand Sagar in the early 60s. And now DSI, Dayanand Sagar group of institutions, have become leading institutions in the country, and all these are run by Mahatma Gandhi Vidyapita Trust. Okay, and we have our chairman, who happens to be the chancellor of our university, Dr. D. Hemchandra Sagar, who is a doctor by education, and also he practiced in very good hospitals in Bangalore as well as in Bombay. And then we have got Dr. Premchand Sagar, who is the vice chairman and also pro-chancellor of our university, who is also a doctor by profession. And then we have got Mr. Gali Swami, who is secretary of MGVP Trust. And we have got a large number of institutions. That particular slide I think I missed. It's okay. We have got 3 rather two engineering colleges which are affiliated to VTU, of which one is autonomous in a college, that is the DSC, you must have heard about. The Ansar College of Engineering is an autonomous college, and there's another college which is affiliated to VTU again, DSATM we call, Dan Sagar Academy of Technology and Management. And we have got various other colleges. And in 2014, Dayanand Sagar University was started. And some details about that we have. Dayanand Sagar University was created by an act of Karnataka state government in 2014, and university has adopted a student-centric teaching methodology that they can read out now, of course, that includes activity-based, experimental, and participative learning methods. New age, pedagogy has been put in place in the university. Okay, though we got approval to start the program, different programs in the university in 2014. The academic programs were started in only in 2015. So we had the first batches of different programs in 2015-16, and that way we started our journey in the academic domain. Okay, and the PhD program was started 1 year later. In 2016, we started our PhD programs. All right. Now the DSC leadership, as I said, now Dr. D. Hemchandra Sagar, who happens to be the chairman of MGVP Trust, is the chancellor, and Dr. D. Premchand Sagar is the pro chancellor, and Dr. KNB Murthy, you might know that he is the ex-vice chancellor of PS University. Afterwards, he came here. He is the current vice chancellor, and Professor R. Janardhan is the pro vice chancellor. And then we have, sorry, there is a small problem here. Let me correct that. We have got the Professor Puttamada Pasi, who is the registrar. And then we have Mr. M.P. Arun, the Chief Financial Officer of the university. Then we have got Professor Anita Ramalingam, who is the Controller of Examination. And all the important for you, especially the registrar, the CFO, and the Controller of Examination, COE, are very important for us. We will see as to where they are coming in when PhD program is concern. Okay, and then I am there as the Dean Research, and we have got various deans of schools. What are the schools we have? That also I will explain to you. And you belong to one school or the other. Okay. Now, PhD program at DSU, as I was saying, was started in the year 2016, September timeframe. Okay, and the PhD program offered by DSU in various disciplines, we will see soon. The university has well qualified faculty members to supervise research scholars and lead them successfully to their doctoral degree. Okay, the programs are available in both the full-time and part-time modes. Okay, and there are many research scholars who are doing their research in the interdisciplinary areas. Okay, this is very important as such, and at DSU, we believe in interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary research, as well as collaborative projects that are happening. We have been closely working with the doctors in our medical college at CD Saimar. We will give you the full form of that in soon. Okay, and there are around 7 projects which are taken up by experts in the School of Engineering, plus biological sciences, college in School of Basic and Applied Sciences, and then medical college. Okay, and let me take you through the other details. Okay, now coming to the duration of the PhD program, either it is 3 years or 4 years. 3 years for the people who take up the full-time research, and for the people who take up the part-time PhD program, it is 4 years duration. before they submit the thesis. Okay. Now, in case some of the scholars are not able to complete by 5 years, in case they are the full-time scholars, or say 6 years, in case of part-time scholars, then say there is a provision for you to extend the PhD duration by about 1 year, but at the given time, only 6 months an extension will be given, and again you'll have to go for that. So these are the extensions, that are being, given as some flexibility for the research scholars in case they got stuck in some problem or for some reason. Okay. So 3 and 4 years, please remember, for the full-time and part-time scholars. But for the full-time scholars, it can go up to 5 years, and part-time scholars can go up to 6 years. And the PhD program is offered. That's the detail that we have got in a School of Engineering. In short, we call SOE. We have got several departments which are offering PhD program. We have got Department of CSE and Computer Science and Engineering, to which, of course, that's the parent department for me. I have come from there. And the Department of Computer Science and Technology and the Department of Computer Applications. All the three I have started initially, of course, then others are now managing now. Okay. And in all these departments, we have got PhD in Computer Science and Engineering. For the entrance test, it's the same entrance test for the people who are coming from these departments. Okay. And same interview panel will evaluate their presentation, and even going forward, they'll be registering only in a CSE, though they are coming from different departments. Okay. And then we have got Department of ENCE, Electronic Communication Engineering. Then we have Department of Mechanical Engineering, Department of Aerospace Engineering, then Department of Physics, Chemistry, Department of Mathematics. All these are offering their PhD programs. And in fact, there are a lot of, interdisciplinary, research, that has been taken by scholars. There are several scholars who have taken up their PhD work, in physics department. There are immediately two I can remember, who have come from ECE background, but they're doing their PhD work in physics. And there are several scholars who are doing their research work in physics and chemistry departments. In both departments, they go and do their experiments and get the results. That way, a lot of interdisciplinary research is also happening amongst the PhD scholars. Then you have got the School of Medical Education and Research. We have got C.D. Saimer, Dr. Chandramma Dayananda Sagar Institute of Medical Education and Research, in short, C.D. Saimer. There we thought we will start the PhD program, but we'll have to go by the apex body, that is the NMC, National Medical Council. They said we can start our PhD program in medical sciences discipline only after starting the postgraduate degree program. So we have deferred that. Probably after 2 years, we'll commence our PhD program in medical sciences as well. Then School of Allied Health Sciences. Here, Pharmaceutical Sciences College has scholars right from 2015, whereas in the College of Nursing, we want to start this year, but somehow there was small delay. So we will start in the next admission cycle, the PhD program. So is the case with the College of Physiotherapy. Coming to School of Basic and Applied Sciences, right now we have got only one department and college, of course, a Biological Sciences College, and there are several scholars who are working for their PhD work in the College of Biological Sciences. Then we have School of Commerce and Management, at another school where there are a large number of PhD scholars. And here we have got departments of UG and postgraduate studies, which are offering PhD programs. The last school is School of Arts, Design and Humanities. Uh, yeah, we don't have PhD program as of now. Probably in the next cycle, admission cycle, we will have some scholars in the College of Design. These about the schools and the programs that are PhD programs that are happening in different say departments or colleges in those say schools. Now coming to the PhD overview and structure. Today we will not have any session per se in a particular say course that you will have in your PhD coursework. Okay, instead we thought we will update you on different aspects of say the PhD program, structure and what you should be doing, and when are the review meetings happening about the research that you are doing. How do we monitor the research, say progress. All those things now are covered over here. In one slide, we have multiple things. Please, say go through this uh, carefully, and I am putting it in the slide mode so that all of you can see that uh, with the clarity. Dr. Anupama has managed to get DSU email IDs for each one of you, thanks to her. Okay, and all the research scholars who have joined us till now, and also uh, all the 36 of you will have DSU email IDs, and you should use this email ID given by us, DSU email ID, for all your communication, emails, sending your paper to any journal, or sending your papers to conferences. You should use this, say, email ID. Okay, and furthermore, whenever you communicate some paper to either journal or to some conference, please remember that you should put there along with your email ID at DSU. You should put. That's very important. Please note that. Okay. Now let us go ahead. Now for each one of you, there will be what is called Research Advisory Committee. Okay. The specialty of doctoral program, each one is taking care. Okay, so each one has a research advisory committee, which earlier we called doctoral committee, but now we made small change for some specific reason anyway, that we will discuss later. Okay, and this research advisory committee will have your supervisor and co-supervisor, if any, then 2 experts from outside the university, okay, and one as a member will be from other department. Okay, maybe CS people will take somebody from mass or from ECE. The departments, people are chosen from departments which probably will be helpful for the scholar, in that expert can help the scholar by giving suitable inputs. Okay, and that way there will be one say expert from other department in the university, and then there will be the DRCC chairperson, Departmental Research Coordination Committee we have in every discipline of research program. Okay, he is also a member, but mind you, Research Advisory Committee will be chaired by the research supervisor of US. Okay, research supervisor is the ultimate there. Of course, he will have to discuss with all the doctoral committee members or research advisory committee members and take any decision. Okay, now the external members I was referring to, they should be from very good say institutes or universities which are figuring in the national ranking. That's very important. And ideally, what we say is that people should be from IISc or from the respective departments, of course, or top-notch institutions like say PS University or MS Ramaya University of say Applied Sciences, and such institutes, or from good colleges. But this time, what we have mandated is that at least one expert should be from, say, IAC or IIT or the R&D organizations such as NAL, maybe NAL, or there is NCBL or TAFR, which is there in Bangalore, because one wing is here. And there are many, or NAL, or ADA, ADE. There are many such, central government organizations which are functioning in Bangalore. And we want people from such organizations and good institutions to be members in your research advisory committee, so they can give excellent inputs regarding your research wherever necessary. Okay, we also are taking some of the REC members from industries. There are many people with the PhD qualification working in some industries, maybe IT industries or other industries. We also take them as the REC members wherever they are being suggested in the a list that is to be given by the research supervisor. Okay, this about the formation of the research advisory committee for each one of you. Now, important aspect that you should know is that there is a PhD coursework for each one of you, and the coursework will have so many courses. Okay, and each course in the coursework will have syllabus. That's very important. This time we don't have any 4-year degree holders as the research, say, scholar. Now, as per NEP 2020, even say 4-year degree, qualified people are also allowed for a PhD. However, they will have a more number of courses in the PhD coursework. Okay, because there is nobody, let me restrict to whatever is there for the master's degree holders. Okay, you will have 3 courses which
Sir,
are
there will be one person actually, sir.
which is common for all the people. One is research methodology. Okay, the second one is continuation of that, but we are calling it data analysis and analytics. There's a new thing that we have brought in because we understood that it is very important for each research scholar. Having got the data, you'll have to analyze, and you may have to do some prediction, or you may have to do take some important, say information from the data that you collect from your research activity. It may be a survey or experiment or whatever it is. After all, you generate a lot of data. From there, you do a lot of inference as part of your research work. Okay, so data analysis and analytics is the new course that is being brought in from your batch and onwards, of course. Okay, and then we also have one more course, which is a common course by name Research Publication Ethics, which has been mandated by UGC. Even the syllabus is given by UGC with some of the reference material. Okay, these are the 3 important common courses for all the for the scholars of all the disciplines, and then you will have 2 background papers in your own discipline. Okay, now we conduct say classes for research methodologies, then data analysis and analytics, and RPE, research publication ethics. Okay, all 3 are important, and we will conduct classes as well. Probably for RPE, research publication ethics, we will have training in the workshop mode. We had just now discussed with Professor Rashri, who had conducted such workshop of 2 days for the previous batches. Okay, and we had some fruitful discussion as to how the training should be happening and what are the input that should be given to the scholars. We were discussing about that, and as part of research methodologies, this time we also have one module of 10 hours on communication skills. Okay, presentation skills, and then writing abstracts, writing your papers, About that, there will be discussions in that 10-hour module. Probably we will have this from one of the well-known provider of such training programs, that is the British Council. We have been discussing with them, and they have to customize their program, which is there for the research, say people who are doing research. Okay, we have discussed with them, and they have sent the curriculum for 10-hour session, and we will have internal review, taking experts from different disciplines. We will brainstorm on the topics, and it will be finalized. It is the last module anyway. We have got sufficient time. Okay, and these three, as I said, are the common courses which will be there for everybody, and the background papers should be decided by the research supervisor, consultations with research advisory committee. Okay, so I will give you the next steps in the next slide. So please remember that the background papers are approved by the research advisory committee of each one of you. That's how it goes. People from CSE, depending on, I'm just giving an example, depending on the area of research, they will have, 2 each, okay, background papers. That's about the PhD coursework and syllabi. Okay, next comes passing standards. I was telling you about COE, control of examination, the exam section. They are the ones who will conduct the examination in the courses which are there in your PhD coursework. It happens twice in a year anyway. Okay, and passing standards are quite tight, I should say. One should get minimum 55% of marks. Okay, so it is a must, and there are 5 courses. You can decide to write all the 5 papers in the next ensuing examination, which will be there at the end of January 2022, or maybe in the first or second week of February 2022. Okay, and it will be happening on the weekends. That's what we have done till now. This time, of course, after discussion with the Vice Chancellor, we may decide to conduct on the working days as well. But what I can say is that weekends are confirmed. Saturday and Sunday will be confirmed. Whether we should have on one of the working days, that of course we are to decide. We will take your inputs as well. Okay. Once you are through with your coursework, meanwhile you may also be going to some of the papers in your own research area, and that's what it is in coming as a literature survey and review. You have to go through a large number of journal publications, or maybe papers which have been presented in conferences. Okay, thoroughly you'll have to go through, not the good old ones, the most recent ones you'll have to go through. Maybe the past 3 to 4 years papers you'll have to go through in your own area, and this will help you to come up with your own problem area. How to do that? That will be in research methodologies course, and we will let you know as to when the course sessions will be commencing. Okay, and literature review is very important, and after literature review, having completed the coursework examination successfully, yes, you will have another stage of your PhD. We will come to that. Okay. Now your research progress every 6 months. That's what we have decided. Okay. If you don't do the research progress, I understand your supervisor will be monitoring your work. He or she will always tell you as to what to do, what not to do. That's also equally important in research. Okay, otherwise you will learn by a lot of mistakes, and a lot of time will be spent on that. We don't want that to happen, so you'll have to be interacting with your supervisor quite regularly. In the initial stage, I would say maybe once in 2 days, and afterwards once in uh, say week, you should contact invariably. If you come here, if you're nearby, you can come to the campus, either here or in Kumasam layout, and discuss with your research supervisors. Or you can take the help of say platforms like Google Meet. We are on Google Meet now, or Zoom or whatever. Have regular discussion with your research supervisor. It's very important, and you should make progress. That progress will be monitored periodically. That periodicity is biannual. Every 6 months, your RAC will meet, and you'll have to make presentation as to whatever you have done in the last 6 months. And based on your presentation, whatever report you have submitted, the RAC will suggest few things, and they probably RSMA members of RSMA tell you to draw few things and in few more details. A lot of discussion will happen. So every 6 months you are supposed to attend the RSA meeting. Okay, invariably, no escape from that. And your supervisor may be sometimes busy, but still there will be communication going from us to all of you, saying that you should complete your REC meeting by such and such date. That's what will come. And marking your supervisors, you will have, it is your duty to contact your supervisor immediately, saying that, sir or madam, this is the last date for the REC meeting. Please, say, let us discuss, and please arrange for the organize the REC meeting. That's what should come from the scholars. A lot of responsibilities are on the scholars. In UG and PG programs, it is mostly teacher driven, I would say. Okay, whereas PhD program, I should say, is scholar driven. Hope you agree with me. I got a lot of my colleagues, they will also agree with me. Okay. Now, yeah, every 6 months there will be RSA meeting, and in fact, the very first meeting will decide as to what are the background papers for you. Okay, and they will finalize that. There are no other board of studies and other things. RAC is the final authority to decide on the background papers for each one of you. Okay. Now you attend the RECs quite regularly, having done good, say, literature review and good work you have done. Then comes the next stage of your PhD, which is a pre-PhD comprehensive viva, where you have decided as to what is your topic and what is the topic title, the title of your thesis, and you make a small abstract of whatever you want to do. That now we call synopsis, and you should submit a synopsis, make a presentation before the RAC, and get their approval for your work towards your PhD. That's very important. And to go through pre-was, you should have completed coursework. Point number one. Point number two, you should have done literature review. Now, what is the way by which we say that you have done your literature review very diligently? Yeah, that should be demonstrated by either a survey paper or one such paper which is published in a journal of repute. Okay, journal should be, whatever you choose should be peer-reviewed, refereed, unpaid journal. Please mark this. This is very important. Okay, peer-reviewed, refereed, indexed, unpaid journal. Okay, or you can also present either the survey paper or some small finding in a conference, naturally in international conferences of repute. Okay, So if you have done that, yeah, we are sure that you have done your literature review very diligently. Okay. To get qualified for pre-PhD conference VIVOs, you will complete the coursework and have you have one say publication in a journal, or that paper, one paper is present in a conference. Okay. This about the pre-PhD conference VIVA goes. Give me 1 minute. Sorry, I paused for a while because my speaker is not working properly. So I'm not able to hear what I'm saying. So the okay. Next, say stage is if you have done your research thoroughly and you have gone through your PhD conference very well, and you have published, say, some good papers, quality papers in excellent journals, uh, which are refereed indexed. It may be Scopus indexed or Web of Science or Sci indexed now journals, or it could be DBLP or ACM indexed now journals, depending on the discipline that you are in. Then, of course, no, you are ready for a thesis submission. Okay, the submission is done only after you go through pre-thesis submission colloquium, where you will submit a long synopsis, okay, of whatever work you have done from starting to end of whatever you have done till that, now say, that day of, now say, colloquium. You'll have to present before the REC. Mind you, in the previous submission colloquium, we will not have anybody outside the REAC. In fact, I missed saying, say one thing. In the pre-PhD conference viva, there is one external examiner as well, along with your REAC. Whereas in the case of pre-thesis submission colloquium, only the RAC members will be there for the meeting, for the colloquium, and you have to make your, say, presentation on the work you have done from the beginning till the colloquium. Okay, and there will be some discussions, and the members may give some small additional work. It has happened. That's the reason why I'm saying, sharing with you. And if everything goes well, RAC permits you to submit, you can go ahead and submit. In fact, RAC has also one more responsibility of verifying and certifying your publications in journals, especially in journals. And what we say is that journals publication should be, as I said, no, in unpaid, indexed, referred journal. That's very clear, and that should be certified by the RAC members. That's what we should remember. Okay. Once it is submitted, yeah, there will be examiners, from both India as well as foreign, say, universities and organizations. Okay. Indian examiners are normally drawn from IISc, IITs, NITs, triple ITs, okay, or IISERs, okay, IIMs. In fact, till now, 9 people have got their PhD, and their examiners from India were from either IISc or IIT or NIT or IISER, or from some of the research organizations. That's how it has been. It will continue to be there. Once you are able to get through in such a tough evaluation by an Indian examiner who is from top-notch institution or R&D organization, and by an external examiner who is from one of the very good universities or organization outside the country, maybe from US, Northern America, US or Canada, and or maybe from say UK or European countries, or maybe from say Australia and New Zealand, or maybe from Taiwan and Japan, or maybe China as well. Okay, I'm giving specific names because till now we had examiners from those say places. Okay, and if you have got, if you have done very good say research and you have got very good publications, your evaluation of the PhD thesis will be cakewalk. Otherwise, we get into a lot of problems. Fortunately, till now, for a no scholar of ours, in fact, 9 have completed, as I said, 2 more are ready for YOS examination, maybe in the next week or in the following week. Both are from CSA department, Computer Science India department. Okay, no thesis has been rejected because of the reason that they have minimum 2 publications in excellent journals. Okay, so please remember that right from day one, you should aim for publishing your research finding in excellent journals with the high impact factors. Please keep in mind. Okay, and this is a must. Okay, all right. Then submission of thesis, then thesis adjudication, the process where you will have the evaluation reports coming from one Indian examiner and one foreign examiner. Okay, and then in case there are some corrections, corrections need to be incorporated and they should be certified by your research supervisor. That will come to me for my final verification. Then it will go to the vice chancellor for the final approval and for approving the board of examiners. Okay, and in the board of examiners, your supervisor, in case there is any co-supervisor, I will also be there in the board of examination, plus the Indian examiner. And this board of examiners will have your supervisor as the convener or the chairperson. Okay, this is about the thesis adjudication. And once you have successfully completed your YOS exam, final YOS examination, then you are ready for the award of degree. Depending on whether the convocation is near or if the convocation is not near. In fact, this time those who are going to have the YOS examination in the next week or following week, they need not get the PDC, provisional degree certificate, because in November end or the beginning of December, we will have the convocation. If a convocation for several months away, in that case, we always advise the people to get the PDC by paying, I think, 200, 300 rupees, which I don't remember. Dr. Anupam will tell you if you want that information. Dr. Anupam, what is the amount for a PDC?
So 500.
Okay, okay, all right. Okay, then you will have the award of a degree during the convocation. Okay, now few points now I have skipped, of course, deliberately. In case you have got any doubt, you can come back to me. You can type in your question and put in the chat box. I can answer that. Okay. This is about the entire process, the structure and process I have explained. Hope I am clear. The next steps are quite, planned very, meticulously here. You have got the RSA formation. In fact, we have already started off with the process. We have sent the RSC template to all the research supervisors. I'm sure, one has already come. In fact, they'll be sending it by the date that is given. Okay, and once the REC is formed, then there will be a letter coming to you, which is signed by the registrar, okay, saying as to what is your REC panel. Okay, then RS will meet, decide about your coursework, must say, coursework. Basically, the background papers they will decide and finalize. And again, we will get a communication regarding as to what are your coursework, and we will also upload that into our website. And immediately, soon after the puja holidays, we will have the common courses being scheduled. Okay, we will have several sessions of the common courses that we will schedule. And in the background papers, each one of you should discuss with your supervisor and co-supervisor if there is any, and prepare for the examination. No class will be conducted for the background papers or background courses. Please remember that. Okay. These are the next steps that you have. And I'm just going back again, say, to the PhD program review. There is a reason for that. In every RAC meeting, there will be comments given by the RAC members that will be communicated to you, and you'll have to work on them. And action taken report should be present in the following, say, RAC meeting. That's very important. Okay. Now, a pre-PhD conference viva, whatever I was saying, once you complete that, your research, say, as a research scholar, you are confirmed. Okay. Till then, your research, say, studentship is only provisional. You should remember that. Okay. And furthermore, pre-PhD conference viva will be held in one of the RAC meetings. Okay, provided you become eligible. I said as to what are the eligibility criteria for you to go through the pre-PhD comprehensive IOS. Okay. All right. These are the things that I wanted to present. And for any details, you can contact me. My email address is given here, or you can. Anyway, all of you are.
Sorry, sorry.
Yes.
I think is it that the slides are not moving? Because in my screen it is still the PhD program overview.
Come again, please.
I think the slides are not moving. If
Oh, they're not moving, right? Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I had gone to the slide mode. I will, yeah. RAC, I think it is seen now, right? Next steps. Hope people are able to see this. Next steps are seen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then the contact details are over here. Research cell details are given over here. We are here in our Kudligate campus. Both I and Anupama sit here.
Sir, the next slide has to come, sir.
Oh yeah, I will do that. Yeah, it doesn't come just like that because there is the Chika. I think now it has come. Let me go to slide mode. Hope you are all people are able to see this. And email ID of Dr. Anupama, everybody knows. I know that, and her contact number also people know. Okay, my email address given for any anything if you want to contact us. Okay, that's it. This is from my side, and if you have got any doubt or clarification required, you can ask me. Only problem is that I'm not able to hear through my headphone. So you may have to post your doubt or anything on the chat box.
Sir, while people are posting their queries, can I just share the screen showing the DSU email IDs?
Oh yeah, no.
And the
Again,
modalities, yeah.
so I will come out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, ठीक है. I have come out of that.
Okay. We will wait for some of the questions to come in. In the meantime, I will share with all of you The email IDs that sir was talking about. So we have we have made email IDs for all of you, and they will be shared. We will share that with you soon. So there will be a preliminary password that has been created, and you will have to ensure that you log in and recreate your own password, and you need to activate this email ID at the earliest and start using it. So if you see on the screen, the email IDs are created with a combination of the PhD scholar's name, department to which they belong, the department or school, followed by @dsu.edu.in. Password right now is password @123, which you need to.
Dr. Anupama, it is very small font. We are not able to see it.
Okay.
Anyway, she will send it.
I will send it across so you can see it at that time. However, it looks like this, and you
Now
need
it is
to,
now.
yeah,
Now one can read.
yeah, all of you need to make sure that you operate your email ID, and you should also start communicating with us through the same email IDs. So going forward, all communications from the university for a limited time will go to your Yahoo and Gmail account, whatever you have shared with us at the time of admission. But it will also be sent to your research DSU email IDs as well. And after a certain time, we will discontinue to use your Gmail and Yahoo ID, because we would encourage you to keep in touch through the same email IDs. That's one. Second thing, how do you access this email ID? It is through the Gmail, the Google browser. So quite a couple of questions come in later that, madam, how do we log in and all that? Please use the Gmail browser to just log in with this particular. For example, if I just highlight this, this particular, say it's a green highlight, if you see Harshita n.res-sbas@dsu.edu.in, you will need to use your Google browser, Gmail browser, and type in this email ID followed by the password, and you get in. And then please change the password thereafter. So this will be shared with all of you very shortly. The other thing that will be required is for you to know that we will also be creating, 1 minute. Right. We will also be creating Urkund user IDs. Urkund is a free plagiarism. Urkund is a free plagiarism tool. Just give me a.
Yeah. Oh, okay, okay.
So all the PhD scholars of the university will be getting a credential to log in and check their research content on Urkund plagiarism software tool. Urkund is given by UGC and can be used for all checking purposes. And each scholar will be given a separate user ID and password again, which must be activated. Again, we will send that across to you separately. This is not the same as your DSU email IDs. It will be sent by me or the library, and you need to activate your credentials within 72 hours, failing which that credential will not remain active. So it should not be that, at the nth moment or at the last hour before you submit a paper to a conference or a publication, you need to get the plagiarism check done, and then you have not activated your credentials before, and then you hurry from here and there. That should not happen. So we will provide those credentials in advance, and we request each one of the scholars to activate it within the given time frame, and you will have to send me a confirmation of the same also. So that takes care of the plagiarism checking facility from the university. However, should you require to use for certain conferences and publications, they mandate the use of Turnitin. In that case, you will have to take the facility from our other campus till and until we get the same here. So sometimes certain publications might mandate the use of Turnitin only, or any specific plagiarism tool. So however, whatever is available from UGC is what we will provide to you at the outset, right? Now, second, the other thing is relating to your ID cards. So should anyone require, because of the pandemic, we have suspended the mandatory submission of physical forms and photographs for the purpose of ID card. But should any scholar require ID cards to be issued to you in your name and affiliation as a PhD research scholar, you are welcome to send in your scanned photographs, because for the time being, Dean Research has made an arrangement with our biometrics division that with the scanned photographs, they will go ahead and make an ID card for each one of you. So you are also welcome to come and submit the hard copy photograph if you want to submit it, or if you have done it already with the application, because few of you have already submitted hard copy of the applications, the admission forms also. We can take it from there. Otherwise, the scanned copy of your photographs, high resolution photographs, will need to be provided for the purpose of making your DSU ID card for the purpose of PhD registration. Because sometimes when you need to go to different libraries like IITs, IIMs, IISc, they might want to see your ID card. If you have it from elsewhere as a faculty member or the employee of an organization, it is okay. Sometimes they also want to see that you are a registered PhD research scholar with a certain university, so we can help you to get that. The other thing is relating to fee payments and all that. We will subsequently issue a letter to all of you stating the different mode of how the program is proceeding, or what is your USN number, and what is the online payment or the fee payment schedules going forward, and what kind of the topics are going to be there with you tentatively till your final registration. So that communication will come to all of you. And last but not the least is from today onwards, in addition to the email that we are always in communication with, we shall also create a WhatsApp group that we have created earlier also, and which will remain active at least till the coursework examination is over. But we would request you to maintain the conversation in that WhatsApp group, limit it to things like maybe exchanging conference details, or maybe certain essential items pertaining to something to do with the research, and not something to do with informal conversation. Should the research scholars of this batch wish to maintain a common forum on their own, that forum can be away from the main official, although WhatsApp is not official, but the main official WhatsApp group pertaining to basic things of communication, which sometimes people are not comfortable emailing. All right. But last but not the least would be, please maintain email communication of any kind of queries, assistance, clarifications that you may require at any point of time. Because making a phone call and we not being able to attend to the phone call at all the times may prove to be a kind of a constraint, or SMSing or sending random WhatsApp messages. So the first line of communication may kindly be restricted to emails only, to myself, Dean Research, and of course with your research supervisors as you deem fit with them. Whatever they are very comfortable with, please restrict your communication to that mode. So WhatsApp, I would request Desiree to take the initiative. You have my number. If you could also coordinate and get the other numbers, I will also provide that to you, the official numbers given by the scholars. And should any scholar wish not to be part of the WhatsApp group, please email back to me by Monday, 10 o'clock. After which, the official contact numbers given by each scholar will be included by Desiree, your batchmate, in the WhatsApp group that you're going to create. All
Sure.
right. So that's from my side. And all of you are also welcome, as Dean Research has told, the PhD regulations and coursework details till the last batch is available on our DSU website, which is dsu.edu.in under the research tab. And please go through the regulations, and please also go through the coursework which is available, which will get updated with your research supervisor's input very soon. All right. If there is any question, so there are some questions which have come, sir.
Yeah, I will take up them.
Yes.
Hope now there is no disturbance, right?
There is an echo, sir.
Okay. One question which has come. He is from, okay. Anand Kumar has said, yeah, that's okay. Now it is. Now that have reduced. Yeah, right. Okay. Now there is one question from Deepa N. Hope you are able to hear me. Sir,
Yes, sir.
time for completion of coursework subjects. Yeah, for all of you, it is 2 years duration. In 2 years duration, you should be able to complete, uh, and that means that you will have minimum 3 attempts. No, not minimum, maximum 3 attempts to complete your course. Okay. Hope I answered that. Yeah, if there are scholars with the 4-year degree qualification, for them, of course, it will be 3 years. But all the postgraduates who have taken admission, this time, of course, we have got only postgraduates, it is 2 years as per the regulation. However, in some of the extreme cases where somebody has fallen ill and other things, yeah, you'll have to make a separate application, and there is some process for that. Yeah, that will be quite a rare case as such. Let me put it that way and stop at that. So 2 years. And,
Thank
yeah,
you, sir.
Chandra has asked one question: which mail client to be used for accessing our mail? Anyway, Dr. Anupam has already touched on that. You can use any client, any browser you can use. And Mrs. Anita has one question. Once the course subjects and syllabus were finalized, please give at least some good amount of time for preparation of us for okay to get ready for the examination, right? Yeah, it will be given if everything goes well, because we have said that 12th is the last date for giving the list of uh, the experts from outside. That request has gone to the supervisors, and they will send, I'm sure, by 12th or 14th max. Anyway, the week starting on 11th has got lot of holidays. So we are expecting all the supervisors to send the list of external experts they have discussed with by 15th, and 16th must say happens to be a holiday, being third Saturday, but 18th will finalize the RAC for each one of you. Okay. Once that is done, one RAC is formed, immediately there will be communication going to the research supervisors to conduct the first RAC meeting, where the decision on the background papers will be decided. Discussion will be happening, and the content will be decided, and that will come to us, and we will also upload the content of the courses that you are going to take up so against the background papers in our website as well. Okay, that's about the time that is given to you. Probably it will take 1 month max from 18th of this month. Okay, and the sessions for your compulsory course will start soon after Dasara holidays. That's what we have decided. Probably we will have the next session on 23rd. Anyway, we will communicate to you as to when we are going to the next session, 23rd or 30th. In fact, we want to have even a vice chancellor, to address you, and he will also give you some inputs so that your research will go without any hitches. Okay, there's a reason why we want to invite him as well, and if possible, we will also get one senior researcher from outside to talk to you during the second, say, meeting of second orientation program. We have called this, orientation program number 1 for obvious reason. Okay. Yeah, we will upload the details about the courses that you should take in the website once the background papers are finalized by the RESCs. Okay. Then, will there be some e-library resources available? Yeah, we have got, you know, IEEE access. Okay, and uh, I think Dr. Masaya Anupam will say about EBSCO, say subscription as well, which you can be using to access different say, journals and get the papers downloaded. Okay, Dr. Anupama,
Yes, sir. We will
so
get
this
our
morning
DSU
study we
library.
can share with the people.
Yeah, we will get our DSU library person to reconfirm that because of the revision in the, I think, the accessing part of it. So yes, we do have EBSCO host access along with the IEEE, and we had done earlier for all the batches trainings on how to access EBSCO. So all those will be available going forward as well.
Yeah, these were the questions which have come. Hope now there are no more questions. Even if you don't have questions now, we can come up with your queries even during sessions now later on. No issues. You can
Actually,
contact
sir,
either me or Dr. Anupama anytime. Okay, if
yes.
you have got
There is a
any
question, sir,
doubt,
from there's a
anytime.
question, sir. Sir, can you hear?
Yeah.
There is a question from Mr. Amit Bhadra who says, will we have opportunities to attend classes for the courseworks? Sir, are you able to hear?
Huh.
Sir, can you hear?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
There is a question from Mr. Amit Bhadra. Would there be opportunities to attend classes for the coursework? Okay, I think sir is on mute. Mr. Amit Bhadra and for all the scholars, yes, that is what we were talking about. So the sessions would be conducted, the coursework sessions are going to commence. That's what he's talking about from the 23rd or 30th. And as mandated by UGC, since because of the pandemic, we are going to have online sessions starting off, especially for the common courses, research methodology 1 and 2, as well as the RPE sessions. What are they going to be? When are they going to be conducted? That is going to commence in the following weeks. And mostly it would be online, unless and otherwise it is specified to be an offline session. Mr. Amit Bhadra, I hope that addresses your question.
Yeah. Most probably, the sessions will be online mode. In case there are no COVID cases, then naturally we will have the physical mode. Anyway, about this, we will let you people know.
Yeah. And
And
sir, there is a question from our 4-year degree holder student who has joined the program, Rashmi KP, that I was talking to you about. So she has a question that how many coursework, yeah,
so
for people who
she
have
has got
completed 4-year bachelor's.
4-year degree, right?
Yeah, that's the one student I was talking about.
Okay.
It was a 4-year
Uh,
degree.
I think we'll have to discuss it separately. She's the only one, right, Dr.
Yeah, she's the
Anupama?
only one. As per the regulation, Rashmi, we have 11 papers.
Yeah.
3 common papers as usual with all the scholars, RM1 and RM2 and RPE, and there will be 8 background papers. So please
Yeah.
have a look at the regulation and you can discuss it further with Dean Research and your supervisor.
And
Rashmi,
she
I
will
hope
have
that
only 3 years to complete the coursework.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
right.
Hope now Rashmi is now clear about the coursework, right?
Yeah, Rashmi, please do have a look at the regulation also.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. And there was another question from, I think that is the last set of question we can take. That is Alok M, who says if there would be some help in with a workshop on how to publish papers. The same kind of question was asked by Madam Kavita, scholar Madam Kavita also. Help in publishing. I think that's the last set of question we can take today. Sir.
Okay, will you help us in publishing our research papers? Yeah, what you can be doing is to select some journal and or send us the journal names that you want to publish. We will let you know whether they are, say, indexed, refereed, unpaid journals. That, say, help we can always, say, extend. In fact, your supervisor themselves let you know as to where to publish. Okay. Over and above that, we are also there to help you out or to select a suitable journal for you publishing your research finding. Hope we answered your question.
Yeah, I think more she was talking about the help in getting it published, because that is not really going to be much in our hands. However, for people who are knowing Scopus, scopus.com, if you access that website, all of you can see the list of the journals which are in continuation, as well as journals which might have got discontinued. So the first preliminary level by which we have helped the scholars is that please visit www.scopus.com, check for the journal or for the discipline, and I think from there on you can proceed. And once you go to a publication, you can go to their particular website and you can check for things like APC, article publishing charges are there or not. Even if there are, is there a scope for discount for third world countries or SAARC countries? Those are the things that you also can check. And finally, please do have discussions with your research supervisor for the kind of publications that you're really considering or the journals that you're considering. Because in this case, your research supervisor is the utmost authority on the subject.
I think there are no more questions, right?
Yeah, I think there are no more questions. Yes.
Okay. If there are no more questions, I think you can conclude for today.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are anyway always in contact with all of you. Please remain in contact with all of us for any kind of clarifications, any assistance. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks to all the research supervisors who have attended the session. Thank you all, dear scholars. And we will close the session. We'll keep in touch for the next.
We will wish them all the best.
Yeah, definitely. All the best. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks.